Have you ever wondered when exactly your body stopped being yours and started becoming something you apologized for? There's something no one prepares you for the quiet way your body becomes unfamiliar. Not just softer, slower, or scarred, but silent, like it's waiting for permission to feel again. At 56, I've learned to button things up, emotions, blouses, and any trace of longing. But lately, something's been stirring beneath the quiet. A low pulse, a curiosity I once called shame. I'm not supposed to want anymore, am I? Not at this age, not with this body. But what if desire doesn't die, it just waits? I want to tell you a story, not about sex exactly, but about something even more intimate coming home to a body I thought I'd lost. There was a time, maybe not too long ago, maybe longer than I want to admit, when a touch could light a fuse. A glance could make my whole body lean forward. I used to live in my skin. Now I occupy it like a rented space, quiet, hesitant, careful not to leave any marks. It started gradually. The compliments slowed. The stares stopped. The mirror became a polite stranger. It wasn't that I hated my body, but I certainly stopped trusting it. Somewhere between stretch marks and a hysterectomy, between marriage counseling and hot flashes, I lost the woman who once danced in nothing but her underwear while folding laundry, and I didn't even say goodbye. I wish I could say there was one moment when everything changed. A moment when the door shut, but it doesn't work like that. It's more like a slow dimming of the light. You reach for your old self and find only air. And then one day, someone brushes past you in the grocery store aisle and doesn't even look up, and something inside you whispers, "You're not seen anymore." I carried that whisper like a stone in my pocket. I was 48 when I stopped wanting sex, or maybe it stopped wanting me. The difference is blurry. My husband and I pretended it wasn't happening. That's how most long marriages survive, not by thriving, but by avoiding the obvious. We held hands at parties, smiled for photos, made jokes about our early bedtime. But the bed was cold. Not with malice, not even neglect, just absence. Like two people camping out in the ruins of what used to be desire. But this story isn't just about him. It's about me. About the part of me I buried so deeply, I nearly forgot where I put her. At 51, I stood in a dressing room, trying on a blouse that dipped a little too low. I stared at my chest, lined now, no longer defying gravity, and I thought, you had your time. I buttoned it to the top and told myself it was dignity. But really, it was shame with a better outfit. The magazines say we should embrace aging, but that kind of talk always feels like something beautiful people say when they're done being watched. The truth is, it's not easy to embrace the sagging, the slowing, the softening, especially when no one is embracing you. And still, something inside me never went out. Not fully. It flickered in dreams. It stirred during certain songs. It blushed when I caught the scent of a man's cologne in an elevator. I never spoke of it, not to my friends, not even in my journal. Because what kind of woman at 56 admits she's hungry? We're taught to disappear gracefully. To age like wallpaper, always present, never noticed. But what if I don't want to fade? What if I want to feel something again? Not like I'm 20, not even like I'm 40. But like I'm alive. I started asking questions I didn't dare ask before. When did sex become a memory? When did I decide this body was no longer worthy of pleasure? And who gave me that rule because I don't remember agreeing to it? One afternoon, I stood naked in front of the mirror, not to judge or criticize, but to look, really look. I saw the veins in my legs, the crease beneath my belly, the softness of my arms. And for the first time in years, I didn't wince. Instead, I whispered to myself, "You're still here." And she was. The woman who once wanted, touched, laughed in bed, asked for more. She hadn't died. She'd just gone quiet, waiting to be invited back. This is where my story begins, not with a lover or a dramatic affair, not with a new haircut or a reinvention. Just a simple moment of truth in front of a mirror where I chose not to look away. That was the first time I realized my body was still mine. It's strange how hard it is to want something you've taught yourself to stop wanting. I had spent so many years filing away desire into a dusty drawer labeled not urgent, not necessary, not appropriate. And after a while, the body forgets, or pretends to. But here's the secret I wish someone had told me. At 45 or 50, your body remembers everything, even when you don't ask it to. I started small, quietly, privately. I bought new sheets, soft, silky ones, not for anyone else, just for me. I began moisturizing again, not because it would fix my skin, but because the act of touching myself with care felt like an apology. I'm sorry I abandoned you. I'm sorry I only looked at you to find flaws. And one evening, I lit a candle and lay on my bed and ran my hand down the side of my thigh, not sexually, not yet, but just to feel the curve of it again. It was softer than I remembered, warmer, still there, still worthy. I used to think pleasure was something you needed another person to unlock, that it had to be requested, negotiated, or granted. But no one tells you how powerful it can be to give yourself permission to feel, to want to begin again. Still, it wasn't all awakening and poetry. Some days I'd look in the mirror and all I saw was what I wasn't. I wasn't young. I wasn't taught. I wasn't what the world told me desire looked like. I still felt awkward walking through the lingerie section, like I was trespassing in a world no longer meant for me. But each time I stayed a little longer. I let my fingers brush over lace and color and wonder what it would feel like to wear something not practical, not forgiving, but beautiful. Around this time, something unexpected happened. A man I'd known for years, someone from work, always polite, always distant, touched my elbow during a conversation. It was such a small thing, barely noticeable, but something electric passed through me, and for a moment I remembered what it was like to be noticed. He didn't mean anything by it, I'm sure, but I carried that spark home with me like a hidden ember tucked inside my coat. And I realized something that changed me. I don't need anyone else to make me feel wanted. I just need to stop hiding from myself. Desire isn't just about sex. It's about being present in your body again. It's in the way I started moving with more ease, wearing perfume to the grocery store, choosing blouses that showed a hint of collarbone, not for validation, but because I liked how the breeze felt against my skin. For the first time in years, I wasn't asking, "Will someone love this?" I was asking, Do I? Do I love how I feel in this moment? Do I love what I see when I let myself look? Do I love what stirs in me when I stop silencing it? And slowly, piece by piece, I began to answer yes. I didn't tell anyone, not yet. This awakening felt too fragile to share. Like a newly sprouted flower, it needed privacy and protection. But I walked through the world differently, with just a little more sway, a little more breath in my chest. One night, I ran a bath and slid beneath the water and whispered aloud, "This is mine." Not in bitterness, not in grief, but in gratitude. Because at 56, I had started the bravest journey of my life. The journey back to wanting. And it wasn't loud or dramatic. It was soft, tender, mine. There was no dramatic climax to this story. No new lover appearing at the door, no revenge body, no tropical retreat. Just me, and a growing softness inside a bold quiet claim to my own skin. I used to think desire had to be validated by someone else's eyes, someone else's hands, that it needed permission, but now I know better. Desire is not performance, it's presence. It's when I press lotion into the curve of my hip and don't rush. It's when I slip into soft cotton sheets and sigh because they're clean and they're mine. It's when I let my fingers rest on my own collarbone and think I'm still beautiful here. I know this sounds simple, maybe even silly, but for women like me, women who have mothered and martyred and made due pleasure without permission is radical. We've been taught that our bodies are vessels for others, for birthing, for caretaking, for accommodating. But what happens when the house is quiet and the world no longer asks things of your body? What do you ask of it then? At first I was scared to ask anything. It felt indulgent, even shameful. But I began with small rituals, slow baths, silkier fabrics, candles lit for no reason at all. Then came music. I hadn't danced in years, not since my knees started creaking and my kids left and silence became the default. But one afternoon, alone in the kitchen, I let a song move through me. A slow, sultry one from the 70s. My hips remembered before I did. I swayed like no one was watching because no one was. And I thought maybe this is what freedom tastes like. Not rebellion, not defiance, but freedom. And with that freedom came something surprising tenderness. For myself, for my aging body, for the woman in the mirror I had avoided for so long. She didn't need to be punished into discipline. She needed to be touched with reverence. She didn't need to be scolded for her cravings. She needed to be listened to. So I started touching her myself, not just for release or routine, but for reconnection. There's a difference between going through the motions and saying to your own body, "You're allowed, you're welcome, you're wanted." I'm not saying it's easy. Some days I still retreat. I still wince at photos. I still forget. But the difference now is I come back. I come back to myself again and again. And something else happened, something I hadn't expected. I began to feel more alive in other ways. I noticed color more vividly. I laughed from deeper in my belly. I stood up straighter. Even my friends commented on it. "You seem lighter," they said. "You seem more you." And maybe that's the point. I didn't need to become someone else. I needed to return to the version of me that was never gone, only hidden. The woman who wore red lipstick without apology. The woman who knew how to ask for more. The woman who still has hunger and no shame about it. I'm not asking for anyone's permission to feel desirable anymore. I am not trying to fit back into who I was at 30. I'm learning to adore who I am at 56. And I don't mean that in a bumper sticker, self-help kind of way. I mean that in the quiet moments when I'm brushing my hair, or turning off the light, or curling into bed and whispering, "You still matter." Because that's what it really comes down to, doesn't it? Not sex, not even desire, but this aching need to still matter to yourself. So I remind myself whenever I feel the old doubt creeping in, this body is not expired, this desire is not shameful, and this woman me is not done yet. So here I am, 56 years old, no longer trying to disappear, no longer asking if I'm allowed to want. I may not have all the answers, but I know this much: my body is still mine. It carries every year, every stretch, every scar, and it is still a home, not perfect, not untouched, but warm, lived in, alive. And even if no one else ever says it, I will say it to myself. I am still allowed to feel, to want, to bloom. Because desire doesn't have an age. It has a heartbeat, and mine is still beating. If any part of this story felt like your own, if you've ever stood in front of a mirror and wondered where she went, if you're quietly remembering how to want again, then you're not alone. You are part of something real, something powerful, something just beginning. Thank you for listening to this confession. If it moved you even a little, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share your story, or just let someone else know they're not alone. And if you want more quiet truth, more whispered strength, more stories like this, please subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started. And you, my friend, are still very much here.